So I started taking Alexander technique lessons a few months ago, and I was really impressed at how it helped me with my singing. Basically, Alexander is all about lengthening and softening and opening muscles while engaging muscles that we need to perform a certain task, but with the right amount of energy and effort required. It's all about going subtle and micro-calibrating the amount of engagement or softness that's required. So here are my 4 steps to helping you sing with greater ease. Step number 1 is really all about stillness, and it's a mindful meditation done standing up. So first of all, our feet need to be hip distance apart, and they need to be parallel like this, so not turned out or not turned in. Okay, and you might find that strange. Go as far as you can. If your knees or hips are set a certain way, this might not be available to you, but just try your best. Good. So once our feet have been firmly planted on the floor, imagine that you've got tree roots or golden threads, if you like, emanating from your feet, travelling down into the centre of the earth, wrapping around the earth's core, and then draw that energy up through the base of your feet. Okay, so this is to really ground you. And you might not be aware, but there is a section of the foot behind the ankle that we don't often utilise, and most of us stand too far forward, like we're lurching into the future. So what we're going to do is just find our weight on that bit of the foot, on the heel, so we can gently lift the toes, wiggle the toes, pop the toes down, and then find a nice centre balance. Okay, and if you have a mirror to the side of you, it often feels like you're really leaning back, but when you look, you're not, you're in perfect alignment. And you might find that because it's slightly uncomfortable, out of your comfort zone, you've tensed certain muscles like your front thigh or your butt cheeks. So just work at letting those go, letting your kneecaps go, your butt cheeks, your thighs, and then maybe your lower back. How would that feel if you let it go? And now imagine that your spine is nice and long, standing a little taller than you think you can, but without tensing. So find that perfect height. And then check in with your thighs again and your butt cheeks. And then imagine your shoulders, elbows and hands travelling down towards the earth. And then imagine the top of your head just gently lifting up, elongating the back of your neck. You don't want to go into a double chin, but you don't want your chin to be jutting forward either. Good. And imagine you've got 2 weights attached here and here, just gently maintaining that length in the back of the neck. Good. And now bring your awareness to your tongue and your jaw, and allow your jaw and tongue to softly relax, and the nasal cavities, and behind the eyes and the eye socket muscles, and the temples and the forehead. And this can be done for 5 minutes or 10. And what you would do is constantly check back. When you've realised you're lost in thought, just notice what that thought has done to your body. Where are you now tensing? And then release it. Don't punish yourself, just release. And also it might be an emotional sense as well. You might be locking up here in your solar plexus or your tummy, your lower abdomen. And see if you can relax those. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 would be to start singing whilst trying to maintain this perfect balance. So I would recommend starting in your default voice. So for guys, that's usually your chest voice or your thick fold sound. For ladies, that's usually your thin fold or head voice sound, but not always, okay? So start with some slides on 5th, for example, on an NG sound. and just move up and down your range until you start feeling a little bit warmed up. When you do this, palpate your larynx and the muscles around the larynx using the fingertips. You can just move and check what's going on while you're singing, so that if there's too much movement in the larynx, you might be using too much energy. You're the only one that can decide that. Go within, micro-calibrate and see if you can sing, but or not try, and disengage with certain muscles that don't need a lot of energy or effort. So start with slides on fifths, then go to scales, just a 5-tone scale. Something like that. Then you can maybe add some words, because when we start adding words, it can add a little bit more tension to the voice, and obviously the song, the end gain, has words in. So we want to try and use words as much as we can in scales. When the calls and conversations, when the calls and conversations. That's just a lyric I picked up from a song. Then you might want to do arpeggio, so widening the intervals and see what that feels like, feel what that feels like rather. So are you delineating really aggressively, or are you delineating nice and softly as you change between pitch? And you can change that. Once we've got the awareness, you can begin to change it. Then do words with your arpeggios. So for example, this is the last time you say, this is the last time you say, this is the last time you say. And see, especially when you go high into your top part of your range, or really, really low, you might find there's an extra added movement there that's actually not needed. Maybe you're working too hard, or maybe your shoulders have come up here, or your jaw is gripping, or you've got this nervous energy here, or you've slumped here. This particularly happens when we go into chest voice, or we're trying to sing higher in our chest voice. So the next step would be to practice that in your non-default voice. So for me, that would be my chest voice. For guys, it might be your falsetto, or a crying quality around there. So again, same thing, slides on fifths, scales with words, arpeggios, and arpeggios with words, okay? Then the final part would be to take a really, really difficult part of a song. So you would set yourself up, this is after you've warmed up, and so I would work with Paramore. Oh, try it a bit lower first because I'm not warmed up. Will you treat me just like another stranger? Well, it's nice to meet you, sir. Okay, so I can feel there's quite substantially a lot more work going on there because it's harder, especially as I go higher. So tune into these muscles, see if you can relax them. Put your mind in them, micro-calibrate. Will you treat me just like another stranger? And particularly when you're in upper chest mix, it's this muscle, is the tongue under here, where it can really poke down, and that often means that you're working a little bit too hard. So you can micro-calibrate that. And then once you've done the difficult part of the song, choose the whole song in its entirety and work with that. So again, still micro-calibrating, not necessarily putting in all the frilly bits or embellishing or really putting loads of emotion into it. This is almost like taking some of that out so that we can just strip it back to its bare bones. Okay, so I want to encourage you to really give this a go. Remember, it's all about using the mind to break bad habits, and that's what I've learnt about Alexander technique. See you next time.